Imagine a land before time, where even the river and the wind holds meaning. A landscape of legend and lore, of ceremony and song. A world of stories, passed on for generations. These are the dreamings of the Nyikina.
Barna Mirdi. Mababayan, Jadai Boro Nyikina. Welcome to Nyikina country and good evening. So this is a story from the beginning of time, from Bugaragara, from long, long, long ago. There were these two sisters that were cockatoos. One was named Walibun and the other was called Yaranari. And they were both very, very different sisters. One sister, Walibun, was very kind and used to gather lots of different foods for her grandfather. The other sister, Yaranari, was very, very greedy and very selfish, and she would gather the food, eat the food, and what she had left she would hide for herself for later. So with this story, both of them were living with their grandfather, Malburu, and their grandfather loved to eat the food that the two sisters would gather. And so one day, one of the sisters, Walibun, who had been digging with her digging stick, was understanding that one day she went to look for her digging stick and her digging stick was not there. And then she started to get very, very worried because she thought, who was going to take the food to Jabbo? Because Yaranari was very, very greedy. And as she thought more and more and got worried about it, she started to cry. And as she was standing in the sand crying, she looked down at her feet and she could see Yoongoorrookoo man standing there, the serpent man, and he rose up and he looked at her and he remembered that he had watched her and saw that she was a dutiful granddaughter. And so as he looked at her, he said, don't worry, I will make you a magic digging stick and you'll be able to gather all that food and your grandfather will be very happy. So Walibun was made this beautiful digging stick by Yoongoorrookoo, the serpent man. And as she dug, the earth would fly every which way, and deep, deep, deep into the ground she would dig, and she would come up with all the nalgru and nalgan and the special bush onions and all the special yams, and she would bring them to her grandfather. And one day her sister was looking at it, her greedy sister Yaranari, and she was thinking to herself, how is she going to get that digging stick? How could she have that magic bilgan, the digging stick that Yoongoorrookoo had made? And so one day they were standing and sitting together, and as the other sister was walking away, she said, oh, I must think how I'm going to get that stick from my sister. And she called to her sister, Walibun, can I borrow your digging stick? I've lost mine. And so Walibun came with a kind heart, and she lent her stick to her sister. And Yari started digging, and as she moved away, she started gathering all of the food, the mungari for Jabbo, and she was gathering it and loading up all of her kullaman. And as she started to move, she realized that they were standing on the rainbow. And as she got further and further apart from her sister Walibun was calling out, bring back the digging stick, bring back the digging stick. But she thought no, and she became more and more greedy. And as she moved away with the digging stick and all the food, the rainbow started to part. And in the middle of the rainbow, up rose Yoongoorrookoo, the serpent man. And if you look in the night sky at night and you see those two sisters, you will see a space between them, and you will know that that is where Yoongoorrookoo, the serpent man, is standing. And so the serpent man is still standing there today. And in the middle of all of this, he decided what he would do was create two cockatoos. Walibun became the white cockatoo, and Yaranari became the pink galah. And those two sisters still on the branches today, you can hear them arguing and talking to each other. Jari, Jumban, go away. And the other sister would look back and say, look, this is the right thing to do, let's stick together. And so today you see them standing on the branches looking at each other. and they still are in conversation today. So from that story, it is a first law story, and as I said, it is from Bulgaragara, from the beginning of time. It is a first law story to teach us, as human beings, how to be kind, how not to be selfish, and how not to be greedy, because you never know what these acts can do.